Finance expert, Harvard graduate, chartered financial analyst, then MP and government minister. But also a wife, a mother, and a daughter. What drives the woman behind these titles? My guest is the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Fayval Williams. I'm Archibald Gordon. This is Profile. Welcome to Profile, part 2 now of my interview with the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Fayval Williams. We ended last week by talking about Harvard, and I said one of the things I wanted to ask you was what that atmosphere was like, because you are coming from a majority black country to one that's a majority Caucasian country. Obviously you noticed, but did that impact you in any kind of way? Did that strike you as different?
At that time, no. My only thought was, how do I do well to get through this environment? But imagine coming in, they used to call us a transfer student, and because we came in midstream, and you came into a situation in which everybody around you was fully bright, like they were just excelling, they were aggressively excelling in whatever they were doing. So you just had to try to do the same as well. And because there was a bunch of transfer students, we all would, we were given they call it a house, but it's a place you go to where you have the chance to be with other students who are having the same experience as you are, and we learn from each other. Did
you ever feel frustrated at all? I listened to you talk about these kinds of challenges, and you have a persistence.
Because I'm there for a purpose, and everything else was periphery. I wouldn't let it detain me. Obviously, if there are challenges, then I would have to deal with those. But I find the appropriate person that will listen to me and try to help me solve whatever the problem was.
Where does that come from? That this is me, laser focus.
You know what? I've done a lot of reading on just self, how you develop yourself. There is so much that is available. I'm never without a book on self-development.
Constantly learning.
Constantly.
What's your process for that? Is it that it's like, this is what I'm going to learn at this point, or I'm going to spend 5 minutes? Do you have a process for it?
Well, these days, because I don't have the
time
to sit down and curl up with a book, I found a service. One of my daughters introduced me to it, called Blinkist. I'm not selling for them. But it's
a book summary.
Right. It summarizes books in 15 minutes. I'm like, perfect. That's perfect for me. So I'd wake up early in the morning. I'd listen before I go to bed at night. It's just a wide variety of topics, really. And it just expands my knowledge base, and it helps me to have perspective. So, for instance, let me give you what I mean by that. Let's say I happen to come in contact with someone and they are being rude, right? I can stand there in that moment and look through that rudeness and not be rude back. It sounds almost sainthood, but it isn't. It's just because you learn how to stand in the moment and be the person you want to be in that moment without being influenced by what is coming towards you.
Take me to Harvard then, and how you were therefore approaching studying. Coming into third year, you'd already done college courses, of course,
yes,
but a completely different environment in terms of what you are doing to get to that place. Was it going to the library all the time? What was it? That process?
Definitely. I recall a huge library at the time, called Widener Library. You were there. It just, because I realized that everyone around me everyone is just bright, 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 bright. You're just like, okay, I have to do whatever I have to do to succeed here. Because, I want to succeed. I don't want to fail at this very top school. I felt privileged to be there. And so whatever it took, if it meant staying up all night on something, then that's what I did. It meant waking up early in the morning. That's what you do. It's just, okay, I have a goal, and the goal is to graduate with honors from this institution. And I just relentlessly pursued it. I was not married at the time. I didn't have children. So, I could afford to just have that singular focus on my education at the time.
So the journey now, graduate you did, as you said. Mm-hmm. Out of Harvard, what was the decision? You're going into the private sector now. You have to figure out how to make a living.
To navigate. So I always have to say, at that time, in those days, that was a school that provided its graduates with a pathway to a job, to employment, meaning they provided you with the coaches, with whatever you needed to read. They provided you with contacts into companies. So for instance, as well, companies would come on campus, do interviews. Of course, they taught you how to do a good interview. And they just provided an environment that says to you, we care about you and what you do after you leave this college. And I know since then, a lot of other institutions have taken that approach as well, where they're not just graduating their students into the world without knowing what they're going to do or without providing the assistance for them. And that's an extremely good thing because it allows you, while you're going to school, taking your classes, to spend an hour or two on reading about this career, talking with people who are in the field. You would go to they'd have functions around this industry or that industry, and you get to learn a whole lot, and then it's easy after that to make your decision.
All right, I want to talk about the decision that you made and that experience in the United States, but also deciding to come back, and do public service, which is not at all easy. We'll take our first break on part 2 on Profile with our special guest today, the MP for St. Andrew Eastern and the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, the Honorable Fayval Williams. So back with you after these messages.